What's up? Um, so I was guided a couple days ago actually to read from Ecclesiastes. First of all, I just want to say this is the Bible that I bought for my child. It's an NLT with a special cover that has 1 Corinthians 13:13, which is my favorite verse of the whole entire Bible, actually. On the front, and at the time their favorite color was pink, and so I bought this for them as a gift. They were in foster care at the time, being forced to go to the church that their foster mother attended, and their foster mother wouldn't allow them to have this Bible because I didn't ask her permission first before I bought it for them. A Bible. So, yeah, if you're a Christian who feels the need to be controlling and manipulative and overbearing, you need to rethink your Christianity because you're not a Christian. Just know that. You know who you are. That being said, we're going to read from the book of Ecclesiastes, and Chapter 1, verse 1 says, "These are the words of the teacher, King David's son who ruled in Jerusalem." Now keep in mind that being the son of King David means that this individual was the ultimate Nepo baby, okay? You have to keep that in mind when you hear his take on things. But one thing that I want to point out in the book of Ecclesiastes is how every chapter, when you go chapter by chapter and you read just, okay, so for example, of course, 1:1 explains who it is because that's the way the Bible's written. But then 2:2 is, "So I said laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure?" 3:3, "A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up." 4:4, "Then I observed that most people are motivated to success because they envy their neighbors. But this too is meaningless, like chasing the wind." 5:5, "It is better to say nothing than to make a promise and not keep it." 6:6, "He might live 1,000 years twice over but still not find contentment, and since he must die like everyone else, well, what's the use? It gets better, don't worry." 7:7, "Extortion turns wise people into fools and bribes corrupt the heart." 8:8, "None of us can hold back our spirit from departing. None of us has the power to prevent the day of our death. There is no escaping that obligation, that dark battle, and in the face of death, wickedness will certainly not rescue the wicked." 9:9, "Live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. The wife God gives you is your reward for all your earthly toil." 10:10, "Using a dull axe requires great strength, so sharpen the blade. That's the value of wisdom. It helps you succeed." 11:11, there is no 11:11. I apologize. 12:12, "But my child, let me give you some further advice. Be careful, for writing books is endless, and much study wears you out." That was just something that stuck out to me when I was reading this. So I don't know if that'll resonate with anyone, but there you go. Now I'm going to start at the beginning, and I'm going to read the whole chapter. I mean the whole book. Here we go. Ecclesiastes. "These are the words of the teacher, King David's son, who ruled in Jerusalem. Everything is meaningless. Everything is meaningless, says the teacher, completely meaningless. What do people get for all their hard work under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth never changes. The sun rises and the sun sets, then hurries around to rise again. The wind blows south and then turns north. Around and around it goes, blowing in circles. Rivers run into the sea, but the sea is never full. Then the water returns again to the rivers and flows out again to the sea. Everything is wearisome beyond description. No matter how much we see, we are never satisfied. No matter how much we hear, we are not content. History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. Sometimes people say, here is something new, but actually it is old. Nothing is ever truly new. We don't remember what happened in the past, and in the future, that's right, 111. We don't remember what happened in the past, and in the future generations, no one will remember what we are doing now. The teacher speaks, the futility of wisdom. I, the teacher, was a king of Israel. I lived in Jerusalem. I devoted myself to search for understanding and to explore by wisdom everything being done under heaven. I soon discovered that God has dealt a tragic existence to the human race. I observed everything going on under the sun, and really, it is all meaningless, like chasing the wind. What is wrong cannot be made right. What is missing cannot be recovered. I said to myself, look, I am wiser than any of the kings who ruled in Jerusalem before me. I have greater wisdom and knowledge than any of them. So I set out to learn everything from wisdom to madness and folly. But I learned firsthand that pursuing all this is like chasing the wind. The greater my wisdom, the greater my grief. To increase knowledge only increases sorrow. The futility of pleasure. I said to myself, come on, let's try pleasure. Let's look for the good things in life. But I found this, too, was meaningless. So I said, laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure? After much thought, I decided to cheer myself with wine. And while still seeking wisdom, I clutched at foolishness. In this way, I tried to experience the only happiness most people find during their brief life in this world. I also tried to find meaning by building huge homes for myself and by planting beautiful vineyards. I made gardens and parks, filling them with all kinds of fruit trees. I built reservoirs to collect the water to irrigate my many flourishing groves. I bought slaves, both men and women. And others were born into my household. I also owned large herds and flocks, more than any of the kings who had lived in Jerusalem before me. I collected great sums of silver and gold, the treasure of many kings and provinces. I hired wonderful singers, both men and women. At least he didn't discriminate, huh? And had many beautiful concubines. I had everything a man could desire. So I became greater than all who had lived in Jerusalem before me, and my wisdom never failed me. Anything I wanted, I would take. I denied myself no pleasure. I even found great pleasure in hard work, all reward for my labors. Yeah, I'm sure the Nepo baby king's son really worked hard, right? And I'm not knocking this individual because I feel a kinship. Part of me feels like I was this person in a way. But a lot of this I just personally can't relate to because it's kind of what's wrong with society. But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere. Now that I can relate to. The wise and the foolish. So I decided to compare wisdom with foolishness and madness, for who can do this better than I, the king? I thought, wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. For the wise can see where they are going, but fools walk in the dark. Yet I saw that the wise and the foolish are share the same fate. Both will die. So I said to myself, since I will end up the same as the fool, what's the value of all my wisdom? This is also meaningless. For the wise and the foolish both die. The wise will not be remembered any longer than the fool. In the days to come, both will be forgotten. So I came to hate life because everything done here under the sun is so troubling. Everything is meaningless, like chasing the wind. The futility of work. I came to hate all my hard work here on earth, for I must leave to others everything I have earned. And who can tell whether my successor will be wise or foolish? Yet they will control everything I have gained by my skill and hard work under the sun. How meaningless! So I gave up in despair, questioning the value of all my hard work in this world. Some people work wisely with knowledge and skill, then must leave the fruit of their effort to someone who hasn't worked for it. This too is meaningless, a great tragedy. So what do people get in this life for all their hard work and anxiety? Their days of labor are filled with pain and grief. Even at night, their minds cannot rest. It is all so meaningless. So I decided there is nothing better than to enjoy food and drink and to find satisfaction in work. Then I realized that these pleasures are from the hand of God. For who can eat or enjoy anything apart from them? Yeah, it says him, but whatever. God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy to those who please them. But if a sinner becomes wealthy, God takes the wealth away and gives it to those who please them. Let me read that again. God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy to those who please them. But if a sinner becomes wealthy, God takes the wealth away and gives it to those who please them. This, too, is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Of course, a Nepo baby doesn't like this. Of course, a Nepo baby who never had to struggle a day in his sad, tragic little life, who had everything handed to him from the day he was born just because of who his father was, would think that it's meaningless for God to take from sinners and give to believers. A time for everything. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do people really get for all their hard work? I have seen the burden God has placed on us all, yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. They have planted eternity in the human heart, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from the beginning to the end. I can. So I concluded there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor, for these are gifts from God. And I know that whatever God does is final. Nothing can be added or taken from it. God's purpose is that people should fear them. Now, to be very clear, in case I didn't clarify this properly before, I am not sure what the original scrolls say, which was translated to the term fear, but it was not meant to be fear. Fear is the opposite of love. God is love. If you're in fear, you are not in God's presence. Whatever term was translated into fear was meant to mean respect. Everywhere in the Bible where it says you should fear God, it means respect. You should respect God. That's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between fear and respect. You can fear something without having any respect for it. And you can respect something without fearing it. It's not the same thing. Let's see. Where were we? What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because God makes the same things happen over and over again. Technically, God doesn't make the same things happen over and over again. People do, because people refuse to learn their lessons. If you don't learn your lesson, you're going to repeat it. Just like if you fail a grade at school, you have to repeat it. If you didn't learn what you were meant to learn in 4th grade, then guess what? You have to take 4th grade all over again. That's how life works. The injustices of life. I also noticed that under the sun there is evil in the courtroom. Yes, even the courts of law are corrupt. I said to myself, in due season, God will judge everyone, both good and bad, for all their deeds. That's true. I also thought about the human condition, how God proves to people that they are like animals. For people and animals share the same fate. Both breathe. Okay, now, it actually means both have the same spirit, which actually means that both have the same soul. It's not about the fact that animals breathe air just like us. It's about the fact that animals carry souls just like we do, because we are animals. We're all animals. It is a physical corpse being animated by a soul. We are just the level of the animal kingdom. We evolved into humans because we have the capacity to create in a way that other animals do not. But if we pay attention, the animals have pretty much just as much power as we do. So, anyway. Where were we? Okay. For people and animals share the same fate. Both have the same spirit, and both must die. So people have no real advantage over the animals. How meaningless. Both go to the same place. They came from dust and they return to dust. For who can prove that the human spirit goes up and the spirit of animals goes down into the earth? So I saw that there is nothing better for people than to be happy in their work. That's true. That is our lot in life, and no one can bring us back to see what happens after we die. Technically, we always come back. Again, I observed all the oppression that takes place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed, and with no one to comfort them. The oppressors have great power, and their victims are helpless. So I concluded that the dead are better off than the living. But most fortunate of all are those who are not yet born. For they have not seen all the evil that is done under the sun. Then I observed that most people are motivated to success because they envy their neighbors. That makes no sense to me, but whatever. But this too is meaningless, like chasing the wind. I don't understand how you're only motivated to success because you're envious of your neighbors. Like, how is it that you see other people have things and you want to have better than they have? Like, you're jealous of what they have and you think you deserve it. And that's the only thing that motivates you to success. You need to see a therapist. You need clinical help. You need psychological help, because that's not a healthy mindset. You should be motivated to success because you love yourself and you know that you deserve it and you know that you're worth it. It should be about what's inside of you. It shouldn't be about what you see outside around you. You can admire other people. You can admire where they're at, and you can maybe see what they've done to get there and incorporate that into your routine. But to envy others and to allow your envy of others to be your motivation for success, your success is hollow. Your treasures, your all of your wealth, all of your everything, your success that you gain in that way is meaningless. It is completely meaningless. Fools fold their idle hands, leading them to ruin. And yet, better to have one handful with quietness than two handfuls with hard work and chasing the wind. The advantages of companionship. I observed yet another example of something meaningless under the sun. This is the case of a man who is all alone without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It is all so meaningless and depressing. Two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm, but how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better. For a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Let me read that again. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. The futility of political power. It is better to be a poor but wise youth than an old and foolish king who refuses all advice. Such a youth could rise from poverty and succeed. He might even become king, though he has been in prison. But then everyone who rushes to the side of yet another youth who replaces him. Endless crowds stand around him, but then another generation grows up and rejects him too. So it is all meaningless, like chasing the wind. So basically, what I get from this, at least what I got from it when I was called to read it the other night for the first time. Not for the first time, I mean, like I've read all this before, but I was specifically called to open the Bible and just start reading wherever I opened it at. And this book is where I opened it at. So when I was reading it the other day in that state of mind, it came to me that essentially, on some level, this is an endorsement of polyamory, and not polygamy in the way that it has been done by certain churches. Not to be used as an excuse for someone to have a harem. That's disgusting. That's not an equal, balanced relationship. But the idea that no one should be alone, and two people are good, but three are even better. If you have a mutual connection that involves more than two people, it's not necessarily a sin. Just saying. Approaching God with care. As you enter the house of God, keep your ears open and your mouth shut. It is evil to make mindless offerings to God. Don't make rash promises and don't be hasty in bringing matters before God. After all, God is in heaven and you are here on earth, so let your words be few. Too much activity gives you restless dreams. Too many words make you a fool. When you make a promise to God, don't delay in following through, for God takes no pleasure in fools. Keep all the promises you make to them. It is better to say nothing than to make a promise and not keep it. You know that was my big sin, right? Making a promise to God that I failed to keep when I was 14. Don't let your mouth make you sin, and don't defend yourself by telling the temple messenger that the promise you made was a mistake. That would make God angry, and they might wipe out everything you have achieved. Talk is cheap, like daydreams and other useless activities. Respect God instead. The futility of wealth. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land, for every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. Even the king milks the land for his own profits. Those who love money will never have enough. How meaningless to think that wealth brings true happiness. The more you have, the more people come to help you spend it. So what good is wealth, except perhaps to watch it slip through your fingers? People who work hard sleep well, whether they eat little or much, but the rich seldom get a good night's sleep. There is another serious problem I have seen under the sun. Hoarding riches harms the saver. Hoarding riches harms the saver. By the way, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the ultra-wealthy are simply hoarders with money. They have the same mental disease as my mother does. It's just that it's with money. Hoarding resources is psychotic. You are psychopaths. You need help. Money is put into risky investments that turn sour and everything is lost. In the end, there is nothing left to pass on to one's children. We all come to the end of our lives as naked and empty-handed as the day we were born. We can't take our riches with us. And this, too, is a very serious problem. People leave this world no better off than when they came. All their hard work is for nothing, like working for the wind. Throughout their lives, they live under a cloud, frustrated, discouraged, and angry. Even so, I have noticed one thing at least that is good. It is good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. Nepo babies and wealth hoarders always love to say, accept your lot in life. And the funny thing about it is you're the ones who refuse to. You're the ones who refuse to accept your lot in life, which is why you rob everybody else so that you can have all the resources. Those of us on the bottom who are still here, it's because we accepted our lot in life. We're not playing your stupid games. We know that the tables are going to turn, and everything that you stole from us is going to be given back to us tenfold, if not more. Just wait and see. And this too is a very serious problem. Where was I at? People leave this world no better off than when they came, and their hard work is for nothing, like working for the wind. Throughout their lives, they live under a cloud, frustrated, discouraged, and angry. Even so, I've noticed one thing. Yeah, you're right. It is good to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them to accept their lot in life. And it is a good thing to receive wealth from God and the good health to enjoy it, to enjoy your work and to accept your lot in life. This is indeed a gift from God. God gives such people so busy enjoying... God keeps such people so busy enjoying life that they take no time to brood over the past. I wasn't ever brooding over the past. I was trying to move forward to a better future. It was all of you who were obsessed with me the whole entire time. There's another serious tragedy I have seen under the sun, and it weighs heavily on humanity. God gives some people great wealth and honor and everything they could ever want, but then he doesn't give them the chance to enjoy these things. They die, and someone else, even a stranger, ends up enjoying their wealth. This is meaningless, a sickening tragedy. Oh, how sad. First of all, God didn't give you the wealth. You stole it. You stole it. If you're a Nepo baby, you didn't earn it at all. It was handed to you. And I'm not knocking those of you. You can't help the fact that you were born a Nepo baby, but it's not anything to brag about because it means that you lack character. The majority of Nepo babies have no character because you've never had to struggle. You don't know what it's like. You have to steal someone else's identity because you have no personality of your own. That is sad. A man might have 100 children and live to be very old, but if he finds no satisfaction in life and doesn't even get a decent burial, it would have been better off for him to have been born dead. His birth would have been meaningless, and he would have ended in darkness. He wouldn't even have had a name, and he would never have seen the sun or known of its existence. Yet he would have had more peace than in growing up to be an unhappy man. He might live 1,000 years twice over, but still not find contentment, and since he must die like everyone else, well, what's the use? All people spend their lives scratching for food, but they never seem to have enough. So are wise people really better off than fools? Do poor people gain anything by being wise and knowing how to act in front of others? Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind. The future, determined and unknown. Everything has already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use arguing with God about your destiny. The more words you speak, the less they mean. So what good are they? In a few days of our meaningless lives, who knows how our days can best be spent? Our lives are like a shadow. Who can tell what will happen on this earth after we are gone? I'm going to stop it there because we're almost at a half an hour, but come back for part 2 because I'm going to head, my words want to get jumbled up. It's fine. I know that there are still tons of trolls out there attempting to bring me down or whatever. Like, I don't care, okay? You don't faze me. All you do is reveal yourself as being unworthy of the gifts I bring to earth. And I hate to say that because I don't like to think like that. I don't like to think in terms of any humans being unworthy or beneath me. But when you show your darkness like that, 29, when you show your darkness like that, you're just revealing yourself as unworthy. So just keep that in mind.